Let me make one final plea, Mr. President.
Nice.
Millions have put their trust in you. And as you told the nation yesterday, you have felt the providential hand of a loving God. In the name of our God, I ask you to have mercy upon the people in our country who are scared now.
Okay.
There are gay, lesbian, and transgender children in Democratic, Republican, and independent families, some who fear for their lives.
I do not understand this. I don't so first of all, everybody's on board with gays. Gays have full first-class citizens. They were second-class citizens when I was a young man. Now they're not. They're super first-class citizens. In fact, it's helpful for you to be part of the LGBTQ community in Hollywood and lots of other places. It's actually
By the way, I'm gay. I wanted to mention, Jimmy.
I'm
gay and I'd like a raise, please.
So this idea that gay people are fearing for their lives. Do you know what she's talking about, Kurt, when she says something like that?
Well, yeah, all this stupid propaganda that was blathered at idiots. You know, the people who don't remember how Fauci killed off gays in the 80s during the AIDS crisis.
That's right. People completely memory hold that.
Right. So they still like Fauci. Why are you picking on Fauci? So one, what I don't get is transgender children are afraid for their lives. That makes zero sense. Also, the executive order about there's only two genders recognized by law. If I'm transitioning to a woman, how does that make me fear for my life? I want to be known as a woman. I'm not being known as an in-between. So that's nonsense. The illegal immigrant thing's even dumber than she says.
Well, we're going to get to that, but it's okay to have gay and lesbian children. It's okay for them to grow up as gay and lesbian adults. But I think she's talking about the people who think it's not okay for biological males to go into girls' sports and beat the shit out of everybody.
Well, you got to prioritize certain lives.
I mean, as long as we're talking about show and mercy, does your God allow for that kind of mercy?
Who's your God again?
So that's all. Anyway, so I just want to stop. I had a friend of mine say, "Yeah, if Trump wins, my gay kid is going to send him to live to Canada with my." I'm like, "Are you?" First of all, that didn't happen. Of course, that didn't happen.
How old's a kid? Because you could say they're gay, but
36.
Your children aren't sexually active, are they? As children. So what in the hell does that mean? What does that even mean?
I don't know. But here we go.
And the people who pick our crops and clean our office buildings, who labor in poultry farms and meat packing plants, who wash the dishes after we eat in restaurants and work the night shifts in hospitals, they may not be citizens or have the proper documentation. But the vast majority of immigrants are not criminals. They pay taxes and are good neighbors. They are faithful members of our churches and mosques, synagogues, wadara, and temples.
But yes, they're not criminals. But the vast majority of them are not criminals. But the vast majority of illegal immigrants are here illegally.
100%.
In fact, probably 100% of them. And
what the hell are you talking about?
So, of course, she doesn't talk about the real problem. She's talking about, first of all, she doesn't talk about the problem. She names all these manual labor jobs
that Americans could do.
Americans could easily, but they don't do them. Why? Because businesses want to flood the country with illegal immigrants so they can't unionize, they can't so they could be exploited. So she doesn't talk about the actual problem. She's talking about the end part, the symptom. She doesn't talk about, hey, maybe you think you could stop sanctioning Venezuela and take the sanctions off Cuba at the behest of the economic hitmen in America because we want to steal their oil and we don't want people to know that socialism actually could work in Cuba. We don't want people. So she doesn't talk about any of that. She just talks about, hey, illegal immigrants are here and I want a virtue signal about it. I don't want to talk about
Yeah,
how the Koch billionaires and the billionaire class imports cheap illegal labor to drive down the wages. I don't want to talk about a solution to this problem. This is 100% bullshit virtue signaling that lost the election. This
Jimmy.
lost the election. And it's because people like her and people on the left didn't come up with real solutions to the illegal immigrant problem, that people are going to be drawn to the right-wing solutions to those problems. If someone's job is being undercut, their wages are being undercut, their jobs are being flooded with illegal immigration, that you can't call them a racist when they want a solution to that problem. When you drop 30,000 Haitians into the middle of a city of 60,000 in Ohio so you could pay them less, you can't call those people racists and virtue signal. Because what you're going to do is take those people who are working class people who have legitimate concerns, and you're going to push them over to the right. And that's all this woman is doing. She sounds like an idiot. She sounds like someone who hasn't,
like she's from the right.
She hasn't thought about this question for a second. And all she could do is virtue signal. Please, there's people who wash our dishes. Why do you think that is? Why do you think that is? You don't think that this is a billionaire plan to have cheap labor that they could exploit and intimidate so they could never join a union and they could never organize so they could get higher wages? You don't think that's what this is about? Of course that's what this is about.
She said poultry plants.
He
Remember Purdue that ran all the American employees out, and then they brought in illegals?
Yes.
Purdue, because they were like, the government gave them grants to do that?
That's right.
Poultry plants, the nerve of her. A bunch of citizens lost their jobs so they could bring in cheap illegal. Well, I guess it was legal because Biden made an app for it, him and his human trafficking family.
So let's listen to the rest of this gobbledygook. Because when I heard this, I almost blew a nut. But here we go.
I ask you to have mercy, Mr. President, on those in our communities whose children fear that their parents will be taken away, and that you help those who are fleeing war zones and persecution in their own lands to find compassion and welcome here. Our God teaches us that we are to be merciful to the stranger, for we were all once strangers in this land.
What?
May God grant us the strength and courage to honor the dignity of every human being, to speak the truth to one another in love, and walk humbly with each other and our God for the good of all people in this nation and the world.
And you know what really drove it home to me was after she gave that speech to the president, she donated the land that her church is on to the American Indians. Oh, no, she didn't do that? Oh, she's keeping it? She's going to keep it? Okay. You're not giving it back either, are you? Oh, that's weird. So that's just called a stupid virtue signal. And you can have compassion for people fleeing war zones and whatever they're fleeing. We have an asylum law in America. You also have to have a border. And the bigger problem is, why are people fleeing? Why are people fleeing Venezuela? Because the American economic hitmen want to steal the oil that's in there. They don't want Maduro to be able to charge a fair price for his oil. That's what that is all about. Why are people fleeing that? So that's what we need to get. How about you talk about America? Stop meddling, the American economic hitmen who control our politics, to stop meddling in other people and leave them alone. People say, I love when people go, well, Venezuela, they're communists. They're bad government. So what business is that of us? Why do we got to sanction their economy because we don't like their government? I don't like my government. Do I want another country sanctioning us? How about we figure it out ourselves, just like we should have let Venezuela figure it out themselves and every other goddamn country that we're sanctioning. Let's let them figure it out themselves, because sanctions aren't there to help the people. Unless you're the biggest dupe in the world, you still think that when America puts a sanction on a country, it's because we care about their people. The people in politics don't give a shit about the people in our own country. We don't give health care to our own people. We don't stop fight fires in our own goddamn country. We don't take care of our own homeless. Everybody who gets sick goes bankrupt. Everybody wants to get an education goes bankrupt. We don't give a shit about our own country. Look at the infrastructure. We don't even. So this idea. So he was elected to do something about the 20 million people who the billionaire class have flooded the country with. Now, is he going to be? Again, that speech did nothing. That speech was nails on a chalkboard. He just won an election over bullshit like that, because that's what that is. That was shallow virtue signaling bullshit from a dimwit who doesn't know the first thing about what she's talking about.
Well, it's an Episcopalian church. I mean, that's who it's a church for. You understand? Another thing, I don't know if you remember this, but Bishop Tignatoro here, she's the one that when they BLM set fire to this church, she blamed Trump for that.
Oh, really?
Remember BLM set fire to a church? That was her church that this moron's the fake bishop of. So this is like a political part. First of all, the Episcopalian Church is a nonsense church. It always has been. It's a branch off from the Anglicans. It was always like a rich people Washington like Freemason church, and now people don't belong to it anymore because it became a woke church. So it's some globalist crap. I don't understand why he went to the church other than, they talk about the photo op from back in the day when they set fire to the church, and maybe that's I don't know why they would set foot.
The reason why he went there is because his handlers told him he was going to be attending a taping of Ellen.
Why? Well, I wouldn't want to be anywhere near there.
So there's a little bit. The president was later asked what he thought of the service and told reporters he found it not too exciting. Not too exciting. They could do much better, Trump added. And I say, better than what? And by the way, who's they? The bishop? Is she a they? What is this church?
I mean, do you think those BLM protesters attended one of the boring services and that's why they set fire?
Maybe that was it.
They listened to her speak.
Yeah, she's a real compelling speaker, by the way. Oh my God. Wow. Makes people, when you're that bad of a speaker and your whole job is to be a speaker, people are probably going to wonder how she got hired. The sermon comes the morning after President Trump signed a flurry of executive orders, including one recognizing only two sexes, male and female, and another restricting immigration to carry out his campaign promise to target migrants, especially those who have committed crimes in the United States. Again, believe me, I would be shocked if Donald Trump followed through on his campaign rhetoric that he's going to deport all the illegal aliens. First of all, there's no infrastructure to deport 20 million people. There just isn't. Mm-hmm. And he would be pissing off the billionaire business owners and the business class, the donor class, if he did that, because it would be like if he shut down prison labor. It's like, no, they need that. So they don't want to pay a living wage for people to go work the farms, pick the fruit, work in the meatpacking industry, construction. It's all that stuff. Russell Dobler used to drive the horse-drawn carriages around Central Park in New York.
Really?
And he said that illegal immigration came and they all used to be able to make a good, decent middle-class living doing that. And now they can't anymore because of that. That's what I've heard him say, and I hope I'm not misquoting him. So here's what, if only others had the courage and simple humanity to challenge Trump in a way the Reverend Marianne Bood did, we need more like her to stand up to him. Never were pastors' words more true than today. If we don't speak out, who will? She's not speaking out. Everyone has heard what she said a million goddamn times. She's not offering a solution to a problem. She's not even acknowledging there is a problem. She thinks the problem is trying to deal with the problem.
Yeah, it's a fake church. It's not a church.
How
all these people that are praising her, the good Reverend Marianne, they all hate Christians and Christianity. All of them hate that. So now they think this is some brave Christian talk. No, this is a phony ass church. Most people that were in it Like, don't go to church if you don't believe in any of the things in the goddamn church.
Donald Trump.
Why even have it?
Donald Trump has gay marriages at his house in Mar-a-Lago.
His favorite song, his dance, is the YMCA.
He just did the YMCA at his last rally. You know, Donald Trump was the first president in the history of the United States to enter the Oval Office, to enter the presidency, being pro-gay marriage. Barack Obama wasn't.
Yeah.
He was the first one.
A little hypocritical, Barack not to be for it.
Barack Obama was not. Hillary Clinton was not. They were not for gay marriage. The first president to be for gay marriage was Donald Trump. So this again, this idea that he's people they're afraid for their life. You guys are such fucking asswipes. You talk like idiots, and people don't want, and that's why people are just. And so what's going to happen is a complete backlash because the trans agenda went so overboard. Now it's going to be threatened. Now it is, because it went so overboard.
By the way, what's the thing being threatened? You can't give kids dangerous drugs that mutate them. As an adult, do whatever you want. You don't do that to children, fools. The nerve to call that gender-affirming care is gender-deforming care.
Yes.
It's not something you should be giving to kids. But they all trust Big Pharma because they're all on Lexapro and all those dum-dum pills. You know how rich elites are always on dum-dum pills?
After they had gotten complete rights for the LGBT community, they just went nuts. And so they got it. They got first-class citizenship. They got gay marriage. They got everything they'd ever wanted, and they really wanted. My whole life up until 5 minutes ago, the gay community wanted to be left alone. They wanted to be treated equally and left alone. And then the trans agenda just wrecked it. And in fact, it split the gay community. It was about finding a way to keep this going.
Not just that, Big Pharma. The Pritzker family.
Right.
The Martine Rothblatt, the transhuman thing they're pushing with tech. This is a stepping stone to it. It's not a secret conspiracy. They all openly spoke about it. Queer and gay and lesbian are not friends. That's not even an alliance. People want there to be, okay, I feel like I'm a woman. Well, you need a category of woman so you can say you're that.
Yeah.
You understand?
You have to be able to tell me what a woman is.
It made no sense.
Yes.
And that's because some dipshit billionaire funded it for other reasons that it got nothing to do with that.
Kyle Sinclair says the bishop's attempt to impose woke policies on President Trump and Vice President Vance was inappropriate and disgusting, misusing the pulpit for a politically biased opinion. The country has spoken, rejecting such woke policies after 4 years of hostility from Biden and Harris. Enough is enough. As a gay male, I am not scared. The pastor who spoke at Trump said, you know who else isn't scared? Martina Navratilova, a gay pioneer in sports. As a gay male, I am not scared. The pastor who spoke at Trump's inauguration is an absolute disgrace and does not speak for us. Stop using gays and lesbians as a way to push the trans narrative.
Yeah,
they've already done enough damage towards us. I know lots of gay people. In fact, most of the gay people I know personally feel this way.
Hey, a lot of trans, listen.
I know trans people who feel this way.
Yes, there's a whole class of autistic kids that are easily programmed to be told they're this and that, and they get mutilated by big pharma drugs. That's what's going on. So this was never an issue like this back in the day until these psychopath companies started pushing these treatments and then attaching it to some kind of human rights issue, which is insane. You can't give kids puberty blockers. That's fucking crazy.
So Trump responded. He said the so-called bishop who spoke at the National Prayer Service on Tuesday morning was a radical left, hardline Trump hater. She brought her church into the world of politics in a very ungracious way. She was nasty in tone and not compelling or smart. I'll agree with that last part. She wasn't compelling nor smart. She failed. I thought her tone was boring. She failed to mention the large number of illegal migrants that came into our country and killed people. Okay. Yeah. Many were deposited from jails and mental institutions. It is a giant crime wave that is taking place in the United States. Apart from her inappropriate statements, the service was a very boring and uninspiring one. She is not very good at her job. No, she's not. She and her church owe the public an apology. I would agree with that.
They don't care if you got killed in the crime wave. That 100% was real. They ignored people who got killed. I'm glad they brought that up to Biden at his State of the Union, that girl that got murdered, because they all couldn't care less about that. You watch Dingbat on the other channel crying about some illegal not getting in.
So, on her diocesan, is that how you say it? Diocesan website, she boasts of serving as an advocate and an organizer in support of justice concerns, including racial equality, racial equity.
Get out. Deport her. I know she's from here, but send her somewhere else.
Good. And immigrant. Here, let's listen.
My message and that of the church was not directed to the president, but to the American people, and especially to those who were watching with.
No, it was to the president. You said Mr. President. You addressed him personally. I heard it.
Or what was happening both leading up to his remarks and afterwards, that we wanted to separate ourselves from his message and to reaffirm our commitment to nonviolence, to justice, and to the addressing of systemic racism and white supremacy in this country. And
oh my God,
she is funnier than Tig. I give her that.
That was where our focus would be.
Okay. White supremacy.
Yeah. What God does she worship again?
I
This
don't
is a
know.
church, right? A supposedly Christian church.
White supremacy.
You don't think having a bunch of people cleaning your toilets that are a second-class citizen that you don't have to pay like real citizens, you don't think that's white supremacy?
Right?
Isn't the ultimate? She said the thing that the Osborne kid said on The View that everybody
That's
yelled at her
right.
about.
That's exactly.
Who's going to clean your toilets,
Put
Donald
Kurt
Trump?
up.
He lost connection. He has problems with.
Okay.
Andrew lost the capability on the board.
So you're right. Right. I remember when the Osborne kid on The View said
the truth.
Well, if you deport all the Mexicans, who's going to clean your toilet? And everybody was like, "Oh my God!" That's basically what she just said.
Yeah, and then she mentioned about 5 other jobs that the government purposely made sure Americans couldn't get.
Yeah,
and then all these idiots tell this lie,
and they're
just taking the jobs Americans don't want.
Yeah, that they're taking the jobs Americans don't. Now they have truck drivers. Now Joe Biden on his way out the door gave the middle finger to truck drivers.
Yeah,
again, the number one job for high school graduates without a college education is truck drivers, and Joe Biden just undermined it, just undercut it on his way out of office. He's such a decent man. Anyway,
first of all, stop saying migrants like they're legally here. It's illegal. People that are here illegally, it's a crime to come in illegally. Sorry, there's a law about it. We have it for a reason. So before you step over 20 homeless people on your way to your dumb studio or fake church to say this nonsense, they feel nothing for these people from here. Absolutely nothing.
Okay, let's take a break. We'll be right back.